There's a strange moment that happens after a major achievement. Before you achieve something, your brain is constantly looking toward the future. You have something to chase, something to prove, something to wake up for. Every difficult day feels meaningful because you believe it's taking you somewhere. You tell yourself, just get through this semester. Just get the promotion. Just make enough money. Just launch the business. Just reach that number. And then you finally do it. For a few hours, days, or maybe even weeks, you feel incredible. But eventually, the excitement fades. You wake up on Monday morning and realize something uncomfortable. The goal's gone. There's nothing left to chase. And suddenly, the life you worked so hard to build feels strangely quiet. This is sometimes called the arrival fallacy, the mistaken belief that reaching a particular destination will create lasting happiness. But here's where things get interesting. The problem isn't necessarily that you achieved the wrong goal. The problem may be that you accidentally made the goal responsible for giving your life meaning. And when the goal disappeared, so did the structure holding everything together. Let's break down why this happens. Point 1. Your brain gets addicted to the chase. Think about the last time you were really excited about something. Maybe you were waiting for a new phone. Maybe you were preparing for a big trip. Maybe you were working toward a promotion. Notice something interesting. Sometimes the anticipation feels almost as powerful as the event itself. That's because your brain doesn't only respond to rewards. It responds strongly to progress, anticipation, and possibility. The chase gives you small signals that you're moving forward. Every completed task feels like progress. Every milestone gives you another reason to continue. But once you reach the finish line, that anticipation disappears. Imagine spending 2 years training for a marathon. For 2 years, your schedule revolves around one thing: training, improving, preparing, getting closer. Then race day arrives. You finish, you celebrate, you take pictures, you tell everyone. But the next morning, you don't have a training schedule anymore. Your brain suddenly loses the routine that gave your day's structure. That's why achievement can feel surprisingly empty. Not because success is meaningless, but because the chase was giving you stimulation, direction, and identity. And now it's gone. But there's an even deeper problem. Raised point 2. You may have confused success with meaning. Imagine someone spends 10 years saying, "I just want to become successful," but ask them what they'll do after becoming successful. They don't know. They've built their entire identity around reaching the next level. This happens more often than people realize. A student says, "Once I graduate, I'll finally relax." They graduate. Then it's, "Once I get a good job." Then, "Once I get promoted." Then, "Once I make 6 figures." Then, "Once I buy my house." Notice the pattern? There is always another once. The problem is that goals are excellent at giving direction, but they're terrible at answering the question, "Why am I alive?" A goal can tell you what to accomplish. It cannot automatically tell you what makes your life meaningful. That's a completely different question. And if you never develop an answer beyond achievement, reaching the goal can expose a painful emptiness that was already there. Point 3. Your identity can become trapped inside the goal. Here's something psychologically powerful. Sometimes we don't just pursue goals, we become the person who pursues them. A person doesn't simply say, "I'm trying to build a successful business." They start thinking, "I'm an entrepreneur." A student doesn't simply think, "I'm studying hard." They think, "I'm the smart one." A high achiever doesn't simply achieve things. They begin believing, "My achievements are proof that I'm valuable." And that's dangerous. Because what happens when there is nothing left to prove? Suddenly, you don't know who you are without the achievement. This can happen after graduation, after retirement, after financial success, after leaving a difficult environment, even after achieving a lifelong personal goal. The external identity changes, and your mind asks, okay, now who am I? That's why sometimes the emptiness isn't really about the goal. It's about the identity you built around it. Towards point 4. The goal may have been distracting you from your real emotions. This is the uncomfortable one. Sometimes ambition becomes a distraction, not always. Hard work can be healthy, meaningful, and deeply rewarding. But sometimes we stay busy because being busy means we don't have to sit alone with our thoughts. Think about it. If you're constantly working, planning, improving, grinding, achieving, you don't have much time to ask yourself uncomfortable questions. Am I actually happy? Do I like the person I'm becoming? Do I have meaningful relationships? What do I actually enjoy? What am I afraid of? What would I do if I didn't have to impress anyone? The goal keeps you moving. And movement can feel like progress even when you're moving in the wrong direction. Then you finally achieve the goal. The noise stops. And the emotions you were avoiding suddenly become noticeable. That's why success can sometimes feel strangely uncomfortable. Success didn't create the emptiness. It simply removed the distraction that was hiding it. Point 5. Your expectations were probably too big. Here's another psychological trap. We often imagine that one future event will transform our entire emotional life. We think, when I get this, I'll finally be confident. When I make this much money, I'll finally feel safe. When I become successful, I'll finally respect myself. When I find the right person, I'll finally feel complete. But human emotions don't work like that. Even major achievements eventually become normal. This is known as hedonic adaptation. Your brain adjusts to positive changes. The new salary becomes normal. The new house becomes normal. The new lifestyle becomes normal. The achievement that once felt extraordinary becomes part of your everyday life. And then your brain starts looking for the next thing. This is why constantly upgrading your external life doesn't automatically upgrade your internal life. You can change your circumstances without changing how you experience them. Point 6. You need something bigger than achievement. The solution isn't to stop having goals. It's the opposite. You need better goals. Instead of only asking, what do I want to achieve? Start asking, who do I want to become? Instead of, how much money can I make? Ask, what kind of freedom can money help me create? Instead of, how successful can I become? Ask, what kind of person do I want to be while becoming successful? Instead of, what's the next achievement? Ask, what makes an ordinary Tuesday worth living? That last question is incredibly important, because a meaningful life isn't built from a few extraordinary moments. It's built from thousands of ordinary moments. A conversation with someone you love, learning something new, taking care of your health, creating something, helping someone, having time to think, laughing for no reason, going outside, being present. These things don't always look impressive on social media, but they can create something. Achievement alone cannot. Maybe you've been waiting for the next achievement to fix the feeling. Maybe you're thinking, I just need one more goal, one more promotion, one more milestone, one more amount of money, one more accomplishment. But what if the emptiness isn't asking for another achievement? What if it's asking for something deeper? Maybe your mind isn't saying, do more. Maybe it's saying, pay attention. Pay attention to the relationships you've neglected. Pay attention to the things you used to enjoy. Pay attention to the person you became while chasing success. Pay attention to what makes you feel alive when nobody is watching. Because the ultimate goal of life probably isn't reaching a place where you never want anything again. It's learning how to build a life where your happiness doesn't depend entirely on what happens next. So celebrate your achievements. Be proud of how far you've come. Set bigger goals. Dream bigger. But don't make the mistake of believing that the next achievement will finally give you permission to feel fulfilled. Because fulfillment isn't waiting at the finish line. It's something you learn to create while you're walking there. And maybe, the moment you stop asking, "What do I need to achieve next?" and start asking, "What kind of life do I want to experience?" That's when the emptiness finally starts to make sense. And that's when your next chapter can begin.